I'm joined right now by Katie. Hello, Katie.
Hello, Andy.
And you are obviously not in the UK. Just tell us roughly whereabouts in the world you are.
Well, I live in California, but at the moment I'm in Michigan, visiting my mother-in-law. So this is makes it a lot easier for me to talk to England because otherwise it would be 3 hours earlier if I were in California.
Which
And I'm
is
sitting on a chair and I'm resting my laptop on my leg. So if I wiggle around, I'll try to be still or figure out the best way to do this.
it's absolutely fine. It's not a problem. Now you are here today to talk about something which, I'll be honest, I haven't seen in the UK. I've heard about it, but didn't actually know about it. And let me just get the right name because I want to list this: Adventures in Odyssey, which is what we're here
Well,
to talk about.
yes, Adventures in Odyssey is actually a radio program
Oh, okay.
that's broadcast all around the world. We started it in 1987, or I started playing Connie Kendall in 87, and still doing it now. There, it's available on the Adventures in Odyssey app if people want that, and we've have over 1,000 episodes, probably more like 1,200 on the app over the years because they did special stuff for the app. You can also, if it's not broadcast on your radio station, people can go to witsend.org or adventuresinodyssey.org and they put an episode up every day so people can listen on their computers. And it's a faith-based, family-friendly radio program that has just been a huge blessing in my life. And I know we have listeners in the UK because I was at MCM London last year at a Comic-Con, and there were one of our fellows who uh, his name's Tony Johnson, actually. Shout out to Tony if you're listening. He was an Odyssey fan and he lives there in London. So people listen all around the world.
Which makes it really exciting. We got an email saying, "Would you like to talk to Katie about this? We've hit our 1,000th episode." And I was like, "Well, yeah, we love talking about stuff faith based. Therefore, it's going to be suitable for a very, very wide audience." But just let's go back in time just a little bit. So to episode one, how did you first find yourself there, ready to go? And I'm now playing Connie. How did you get into that role?
Well, about a year or so before that, I had I was just praying, asking God how to use me. And I was driving and I heard on Focus on the Family is who produces Adventures in Odyssey, and I was listening to the Focus on the Family broadcast. I assume you carry that. I'm
We
not
know folks.
sure.
Yeah, we used some of that stuff over the Christmas period, which was brilliant.
Okay, so they were doing something called Family Portraits, which was radio drama. And I'm a big fan of radio drama, and I recognized some of the actors, so I knew they were using professionals. So I went to their office and gave them my demo. I said, I'd really like to work with you if you're using voice actors. And eventually, Family Portraits became Adventures in Odyssey, and the writer said, we have this part for you. And when they got started, they had me in mind to play Connie Kendall, and so I did. But a lot of your listeners might know me from cartoons that I've done also that probably play in the UK because I know some nowadays, the cartoons I work on, they'll have like a British cast and they'll have an American cast. But back in the 80s and 90s, when we did My Little Pony, when we did Dungeons and Dragons, when we did Muppet Babies, where I played Baby Rolf, we did Darkwing Duck. I played Hunker Buttlefoot. And I know those weren't dubbed in British English, so some of your listeners might know me for that.
Muppets, I think, has to be one of the most global phenomenons ever. I think just the very fact that they could get some amazing people on, actors who've done other stuff, who would come in and perhaps make a fool of themselves. I think it spoke of how much the Muppets managed to, I don't know, reach across different ages in the family.
Yeah, well, Muppet Babies was a cartoon. Most of my work is in
Mm.
cartoons, although I've done a lot of live action, but not on camera. I will dub people's voices or do voice matching. As a matter of fact, you may be aware of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Yes.
Well, that's my voice you hear coming out of the little Maharaja's mouth. That's me. I did his voice for the movie.
Oh, fabulous. I mean, voice work. Okay, I do radio every day. It's something that I gets under your skin, I think, when I'm doing a radio show. It never quite feels like work. I mean, we plan for it, we schedule all the songs and all that, and there's lots of work goes into it. But when I sit down, the little light comes on and I'm off. It never really feels like work to me. How have you found doing voiceover work? Is it, oh, it's just a job, or is it, does it get under your skin the same kind of way?
Well, playing the same character for 38 years, I don't know where she ends and I begin because we're very similar.
Yeah.
And it's like this parallel universe that I live in. But other work, it's a job, but it's fun and you have to become the character to do the job. So you do it and you can't we don't have immediate audience feedback like you probably do on the radio where people can call in. Like now that I've lived so long, I meet people who watched or listened to things when they were kids who are grown up now, and now they can tell me their experience. But when you're doing it, you have got to wait 10 decades to get feedback from people. But it's fun because we're usually working with other actors and we're in the script and it's loads of fun.
Obviously, we're talking about something that's faith based here, but let's just go back a little bit in time for you. What's your faith journey? Where does faith fit into your life as you were growing up into what you're doing now?
Well, I was raised in the Episcopal Church, Anglican over there where you all are. But really didn't dedicate my life to the Lord until I was about 24 years old. And I started attending a Bible study and meeting with people who took the Bible seriously. And so, I went up for an altar call, and that's when I really, wanted to be a part of something that, not just silly cartoons, although they mean a lot to a lot of people for various reasons that you learn later when you meet them. But, you know, having faith has been just so important to me because we get fired every day. We really, we're gig workers, right? You get hired for a job, you go do it, and then you wait for the next one. And I don't think I would have survived in this industry without trusting God to provide.
I mean, it's got to be rough. There's all the fun of doing it, but then, of course, like you say, there's that job comes to an end, and it's not quite like a normal job in that sense. So, of course, it can be quite stressful, I would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, the job is really auditioning. When you get the job, it's yay, the work is the fun part. The auditions every day is what the job per se is.
Let's go back into this radio show. I mean, 1,000 episodes is what we got told, and you're saying there's even more than that. It's in an app. It's global. How have you found the storyline changing across the time? Because I'm guessing I haven't been able to listen to it, which I really tried to do. But I'm guessing there are families. I mean, how have I suppose the storylines kind of evolved over time?
Well, there are families that have come and gone, children who've grown up who were working on the show who aren't children anymore. Uh, we've lost actors, have gone to be with the Lord, so they've left the series as well. As we got new writers, they would create new characters that weren't there when we first started. Oh, there goes my husband.
Hello.
Um, we're on Zoom, honey.
Oh.
Anyway, it's he's doing something here. This isn't going to be edited, so do it quickly.
Hey, look, real life happens. It's fine.
Yeah, real life. I don't know why he needed a chair, but he did. So, okay. Anyway, it's beautiful here in Michigan. There's snow on the ground still, but it's like 50 degrees. So, but my mother-in-law keeps the house at 75 and I can't stand it. It's so hot. So I sit out here and get some fresh air. but she's lovely. She's 96, so she
Oh
can keep
wow,
her house at whatever temperature she
I
wants.
think so.
The story. So how's the story like? Yeah, so when my character first came on the scene, she was 15 and now she's in her late 20s. It's taken 40 years to get into her 20s. Her mom passed away in the show. In the show, the actual actress hasn't. Now she's raising a sister. So there's lots of things that change. The writers have different emphasis. Some writers like to write for certain characters, others, for other ones. But the basic humor, the really good writing, the really good production, the message is always, messages are consistent. People can count on the show. As a
Mm.
matter of fact, there's something really strange. And I wish you lived here and knew the show so you would know what I'm talking about. In some states of the United States, Odyssey plays a lot. It just depends. But when you happen to find it on the radio, you can even recognize it by the silence. There's like this weird consistency. Like when you hear even the dead space, you kind of know that it's Odyssey. I don't know how that works, but it's just, I don't know, they have a certain sound and you're listening to it. And we know missionaries who've, listened and they said they've told us they felt like they were, back home. That was their only connection to the United States. Um, yeah, so, sometimes you have to create your own stuff. I don't know if they told you, but one of the actors, Will Ryan, and I started a show on YouTube, and now it's Patreon supported called Tell You Later. So fans of the show can watch Tell You Later, Tellya, Tell You Later, on YouTube and see what we look like in real life talking to each other. So, they can. Sometimes I hate to disappoint people because who knows what they've imagined that we look like. But nowadays with social media, people can look you up. Back when we started, they didn't even give us credits. So people didn't even know who the actors were. But now we're much more public.
Which I think is a good thing. I mean, I drove trucks for 15 years plus, and all we had really was an FM radio cassette players, which does age me a little bit. We didn't have internet stuff in the car and all that kind of thing, or the truck. So I had radio shows that I would tune in throughout the day because I was there 15 hours a day. So you'd
Yeah.
have them, and they became, I guess, a bit like a friend. I'd tune in at 9 o'clock for this show, or 3 o'clock in the afternoon for that show, or 4 a.m. was this person. And they become kind of an extension of my little world in my little truck cab and become like friends.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the brilliance of radio. It's reliable. You hear voices are very intimate
Mm.
and we do feel like they're friends. People, kids, I know adults when they were kids would listen to Adventures in Odyssey to go to sleep, and they still listen to Odyssey when they go to bed at night. But there's something, when you meet somebody, I'm sure people, when they meet you and they've been listening to you and then they see you in person, they feel like they know you
Yeah.
because you've been talking to them. And they always say that the microphone you have to imagine is your one single listener's ear, right?
Yeah.
That's what they tell
Yeah.
broadcasters. So, and when you approach it like that, as a listener, you feel like, oh yeah, this person's talking to me, right? So I think that it creates that vibe. And there are truck drivers who have written to focus on the family and got saved listening to Adventures in Odyssey,
Wow.
pulled over, called in to say, will you pray with me to, accept the Lord? So I know that how that has impacted truck drivers here.
It's beautiful. And that is the power of radio. We always say one listener at a time, talk to one listener. And I love how when people have met me, it's like, oh, you're who we thought you were. Because I can't be bothered to try and pretend to be somebody I'm not on the radio. It's too hard. So I am exactly who I am on air as I am in a festival or whatever. And it is from when people meet me and say, No, you really are like this, aren't you? Yes, this is who I am. Because I'm not trying to pretend to be anybody else. Because you know what? It's too hard. I'm just going to be me. It's much easier.
I know that there are some DJs who use pseudonyms when they're on the air, but playing Connie, I mean, we've sort of become an amalgam.
Mm.
Of who I am, and I really don't feel like I'm that much different when I play her either. So it's wonderful. You know, a lot of jobs I do, I have to change my voice, but I don't have to with her.
That's cool. I love that. Some of the other work you've done then outside of Odyssey. I mean, you've mentioned a few things. Raid of the Lost Ark. I'm gonna have to go and watch that film again now. Uh,
Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. Sorry, we have a movie reviewer. He will be very happy. Who loves anything Indiana Jones. I think it was like, that's so
Well,
cool.
Totally Spies, I was in the first 2 years of Totally Spies, the cartoon. If people are watching, I
Awesome.
played Alex. There were a lot of Alex fans at MCM Comic Con. I hope I get to go back there sometime. That was an amazing Comic Con. Oh, at XL in London.
Mm.
I don't know how far you are from there. But now my daughter's actually engaged to a Brit, so who knows what'll happen. But I think he wants to move to California
Oh
instead
yeah.
of the other way around.
Well, you have better weather. I think it's fairly safe to say.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big part of
It's got
it.
to be. 1,000 episodes of Odyssey. It's obviously, I mean, it's huge in the States. I love how sometimes things can sort of trickle over
We
to the
used to be
UK.
#1 in Zimbabwe on the radio,
Oh, there
believe
you
it or
are. But I love those little, I say random, but I use that word very sort of loosely, but those sort of random little things that those spikes of interest, they're fascinating.
not. Yeah, they are to me. You know, it's there are a lot of people that come through Focus on the Family. They've built a In Odyssey, there's a place called Wits End, which is a soda fountain, which is where Connie works and Mr. Whitaker owns. And so at Focus on the Family, if anybody ever goes there at the visitor center, they have a Wits End where they sell ice cream and it's and they've got a great it's great for kids to go play. It's free. Anybody can go. But the lady who's sort of in charge of hospitality at Focus, she's hosted people from all over the world who have come in. And she's got these amazing stories. One of them was there was this family that had like 20 kids, the Duggar family. They had a TV series. And one time they came to Focus and they all got off the bus and she said hello, hello, hello to all their names started with J. And then this one kid got off who was clearly, I think he was Indonesian or something. She's like, who are you? And I don't know how he got to be friends with them or he was like but he told her that he learned English listening to Adventures in Odyssey, which
Awesome.
was amazing. And she's just got these great stories about even the king of some African country. I don't know if it was Uganda, probably not, but he was a boy, and his mother brought him. They were Christians, and they came to Focus. And at the Wits End, they have this big slide, like a spinny slide, right? Well, he wanted to go on it. Well, they have all this protocol, like you can't turn your back on the king. You have to, and he just started running around, and like she was afraid she was going to get her head cut off or something because
Protocols could be important. They can.
yeah,
It
yeah.
goes you far, perhaps, in that
Well,
one.
I think he went into the Foley room and wanted to play with the swords because they've got a lot of they do the great sound of production for Odyssey, which
Yeah.
is one of the outstanding characteristics of the show. And so he was, and you're not supposed to say, "No, King, put that down."
Yes, that would have been a challenge, I think.
It was a challenge. It was a challenge to say the least. Yeah.
Looking across all you've done with this amazing thing, what's the thing that you look back and think, there's some really lovely moments, but this was it's a real special moment for me personally because I got to do this or got to say that kind of a story. Was there one that really sticks out for you?
One it was early on. And in Odyssey, there's this machine called the Imagination Station. And when you go in it, you can go back in time or experience an historical event. And my character and the guy who plays Eugene went back to Bethlehem. It's called Back to Bethlehem. And we were there when Jesus was born.
Wow.
And there was all this, I mean, there's a lot of story to it, a lot of political activity, Romans and, zealots and all this activity, but it felt so real the way they wrote it, and especially when I heard it later, the way it was produced, of feeling like you were actually there, like because Jesus was a real baby, and what it was like when he was born, and that never left me, that sort of awe and wonder that we felt acting the scene and being a part of that story was amazing. Yeah.
But if that's how you feel on a set, even whether it's video or audio, if you're feeling that, I mean, I always say this with the radio to people: if you're in a really great place, it's going to translate really well. If you're in a really bad place, people are going to know it's going to translate. But it really does translate well through a microphone, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I coach voice acting, and I always tell my students our ears are lie detectors.
Mhm.
We know if what we hear is real or not. And that's why you have to really act. You have to act as if you are on stage, but it's all in your mind. You have to have imaginary props and imaginary scenery, but it has to be real to you. And your actions have to be supported by sounds that would actually accompany actions that you would do
Mm.
on stage, because we can tell if something sounds real or not. And the other thing I say is if you feel it here, we'll hear it here
It's yeah,
in our
it's so
ears.
true.
I'm pointing to my ears for those who can't see me.
You see, it's a good reason for me to remind people, watch this YouTube video later and you can see what she's talking about. I think it's so important to understand. I mean, it's like a smile, isn't it? We can fake a smile or we can actually have an emotional response that is a smile, but actually it's very hard to fake what you feel as a smile, because that smile comes out from within in you and it appears on the face, and you can't quite do it the same unless you're in a happy place that makes you want to smile.
It has to be genuine. It has to be genuine. I think that, I think the most successful voice actors are those who are happy. The ones in commercials, they're just naturally have stuff because you can hear, make up a product. I don't know. This is the greatest magic wand I've ever used. It's just, it feels so good. It fits in my hand. When I wave it, all this wonderful stuff happens. And so if you really have that joy, people are going to hear it. And that's what makes a good commercial.
And if you watch the video later, you will see Katie smiling a lot as she was talking. But that smile changes the sound of the mouth, and the voice out through the mouth changes, the output changes. So it's going to change the sound and the feel.
I think my sister used to work in radio. I think she said something like sometimes she put Vaseline on her teeth to make sure she was smiling.
Fair enough. That's committed, I think.
I think that's what they do in beauty pageants to make sure that you keep your mouth open and smile.
Hey, I didn't know we could learn about that.
I'm not as good about that. I'm more of the people who they write in and say, "Wow, you really moved me because you were really crying." Because I'm pretty good at connecting to my weepy self.
Yes, I can cry quite easily without much of an issue. You've shared some of the easy stuff, the most popular stuff that you kind of remember that's transformed you. That thing of Bethlehem, I could imagine that would be really powerful if it's generated in that way. It's like any good theatre, whether it's visual or just what you can hear. Only I think what we hear is actually can be far more powerful than what we see, because you're focused so more on less stuff going on. You're not watching what's going on. You're hearing, which is why I think radio, audio, whatever, it's so much more, like you say, it's more intimate, it's more powerful.
Yeah, I shared that on another interview because I believe that. Well, I'm a big audio theater person, but because you're listening, you have to listen a little bit harder than when you're watching. We often do other things when something's on, we'll listen. But if you miss the picture, you kind of miss things. But in
Mm.
audio, we have to express everything through sound. So we hear everything, but I think you have to be a little bit more engaged. And they're not telling you what's happening. You're trying to figure it out. So your brain maybe is working a little bit harder.
I did an interview many, many years ago. I was selling cloth nappies as an ex-trucker. So I was, an interesting kind of character. And this local radio station come and do an interview about what it is you do. And they bring something with you that we can talk about on air. So we've got a prop. Fine, okay. So I took a nappy with some Velcro, the sort of the loop and hole pull stuff. And so I opened it against the microphone, and someone says, "Oh, that's a good noise, that." So then we had radio Velcro, which makes no sense, right? Because it's a visual, it's a visual sticking together of these two bits of fabric. But we were there for like 50 minutes for what should have been a 5 minute thing. And the guy afterwards, the producer said, it was so much fun. We didn't want to
Well,
stop the
that's
interview.
ASMR, right? Because
Exactly.
that's a whole big thing now on YouTube and just listening to the sounds and hearing,
Exactly.
yeah, what is all that? What are those sounds? And,
I know.
when you whisper and it causes people to come a little bit closer because they want to hear what's going on. Yeah, I think, I've heard that of our five senses, your hearing is the last to go. Have you ever heard that?
No, I haven't, but I do speak to a sensory specialist every week on my show who I will put that to.
Yeah, ask because so even when someone doesn't appear to be conscious, that's why we still talk to them because they can hear probably. And that's really powerful. I
And it
think
is
it's
really
really
powerful.
powerful. Yeah.
Where's Odyssey going now? I mean, it, do you know, not give us away plot lines, but do you know where it's going? Have you got some stuff that's sort of in the pipeline?
Well, first of all, they don't tell me anything. So I don't know. But what I do know is I do know is they're creating a cartoon, which I'm probably not in because it's supposed to take place before our stuff started. As far and they're not going to be producing CDs anymore. So it's all going to be MP3
Yeah.
downloads or using the app or radio, whatever stations air the show. But as far as plot goes, I don't know. I have ideas I wish they would implement, but they don't seem to listen to me, and they plan these things like a year in advance. So once they start a story arc, I guess there's no stopping that train. Um, but as for myself, I know that people can watch if they get Answers TV. I don't know if they get that in England or not. It's a streaming service, a faith-based one. The people who built the Ark, I don't know if you heard, there's an Ark Encounter exhibit
I
here, and
know about this. Yep. Answers in Genesis. Ken Ham.
yeah, so Answers.TV, and I play the voice of Lily, who's a little dinosaur on Lily's Lab, where we ask questions and dig for answers. So that's what she sounds like.
Awesome.
I also have a book. I didn't realize we would be on camera, but I've written a book. Where is it? It's called The Itty Bitty Book of Codependency. It has nothing to do with Odyssey, but it's a comic book. I can show you. Let's see, because I'm going to walk around here. You guys can see Michigan through the window. Let's see. I'll pull out, a copy because I'm getting ready to go to an event. So that's what I'm doing here. And I brought some with me. So I'll show you.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is
Excuse me.
fun. This is fun. I'm going to make your audience dizzy. So this is my book.
Okay.
And as you can see, it's just drawings. It's a comic book, but it's kind of fun. Can you read that?
Yeah. What would they think of me if I said no? Now, just a little more work.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just a humorous look at some of our behaviors that maybe aren't serving us well. But keep the fun and dysfunction. That's what we Yeah, so, but I think that humor is goes a long way in getting an idea across. So I made that book. And so that's available on Amazon or through my website if people want autograph copies. It's kind of hard to send things to England. We actually have patrons for the Tell You Later show who are in England. That Tony, the one guy I mentioned, Tony Johnson's one of them. So every month we have a drawing for a hand crocheted scrubby that I make. And we have a drawing and it doesn't matter what level patron you are. And so when I have to send something to England, it costs me like $12, like four times as much as it costs to make the thing. So I know a little bit, but I think when you order from Amazon, they have their own places,
Hmm.
so it doesn't cost more to order a book that way.
Yeah, I got the same. My books, you can buy them around, and it's
Oh, you have a
yeah.
book?
I got a few, but it's nice because it means that it's not really expensive because you buy it wherever your country is. So it means it's not, £1 million
What's
to
your
send a book.
book? What's your book?
We've got three. One is called Pure 247, which is about the story of our radio station. Because we had so many miracles of God involved, and sometimes you really need to write about this. So we wrote down literally, it was started after 12 months, and then we finished the book, signed and sealed it, all ready to go. And then the following week, after I'd said, "Here we go, it's good to go to print for Amazon, all that," my oldest son had emergency surgery, which we then added in the book of saying, "Look, when you're following God, some amazing things will happen. It won't all be easy. And here's what happened." The week after we're about to launch this book is my son was in rushed to hospital for emergency surgery. So it's saying, look, when you're following God, it's a really exciting journey, but there's some good and there's some hard stuff. It's worth it. Everything's worth it. But that's what the book's about, pure 24/7.
Wow, wow. I'll have to get that. Pure 24/7. Wow. So, did you create this radio station?
Yeah, so the radio station launched September 2023, and we launched it because we thought, well, it's an interesting idea. But three people in 1 week said, Andy, you need to launch your own radio station. So we started off with, is this even allowed? Can we? Is there a law? I mean, what can you do? I don't know. I haven't worked in radio much, just volunteering. So we thought, okay, let's go for this. Prayed about it. We launched it in September, and God's been really gracious to us. We're still here into 25 and beyond. We've now got a magazine we've launched off the back of that because we're really passionate about how do we support everybody. We're not for children or for adults. It's the whole family, but it's always pure media. So we always talk about 3 point pure. So no bad language, nothing immoral, nothing illegal, and that's across all that we do. So the radio and the magazine now as well, which is also free. It's how do we equip people? So we've got people actually got some nice writers from the US as well, which is cool, and the UK. So there's a nice blend of people
Oh,
who are
that's
writing for it.
awesome. Do you ever put on radio drama on your show? Audio drama?
I would love to, but not yet. It's not a lack of want. It's more a case of when we get people who can, we'll do that.
All right. Well, let me know because last week I recorded this great there's a new an audio drama called Jake Muller Adventures that are pretty cool. You should check them out, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind if you aired them. I'm actually going to be doing a coaching session in England. I don't know if you've heard of Gravy for the Brain,
Yep.
but it's for voice actors, and they're in the UK and they have a conference, one voice conference. But I'm going to zoom in a class, a voice acting class. They've asked me, told me I could do it. So I think it's in May. So any voice actors out there, check out One Voice Conference in London in May, and you'll learn about the voice acting world in the UK. I'm going to be talking about the title is The Eyes Have It. Vocalize, physicalize, internalize, some other eyes, use your eyes. I don't know. I have it written down. I don't have it memorized.
No excuse. Terrible. Right. Katie, thank you. I really would love to know more about Odyssey. We don't, I mean, the thing is, some stuff translates over the UK okay. It comes across and we can get hold of it. Some stuff it's harder to find, but I'm really happy to let people know about this. Like, go and check it out. You said there's an app. Well,
Yeah,
that'll
Adventures in
work.
Odyssey app. Adventures in Odyssey app. And there's interviews on there besides just episodes. There's so much content and great for a family, and here in the States, when people, buy cassettes or CDs, they would measure how long a trip would take for the family. Well, this is going to be 3 Odysseys. This is going to, this is how long it's going to take us to get there. And it really does help a family pass the time if you're on a driving trip. And it's, you know, and some of them are, more than one part, so it keeps your kids engaged, your family engaged. Well, what happens next, right? So you want to hear the next part, and it's really terrific for things like that. And then, it gives families stuff to talk about together too.
If you've got a run of something that's 10 or 20 episodes, that's pretty impressive, I think. 1,000, I mean, it speaks volumes of the desire for people to have it, because at 1,000, you got to understand this has been wanted for a long time and it's still valued. Otherwise, they wouldn't make it.
Yeah, yeah. I think the consistency, for the most part, people might take issue with a few episodes, but a few episodes out of 1,000 is pretty good batting average.
I would say so. I remember in the UK there was something called The Archers, which I don't think happens anymore.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
huge.
Yeah, I think it's still going on.
Okay, it may well be. I don't listen to that radio station, but because I've got my own. But my gran would always listen to it if I was off sick for the day from school. I would be at her house, and at a
Right.
certain time that music came on, and I know, don't talk, because now The Archers is on, and she would listen to it, and I got into it. If I was off for a few days off, with sickness or something, I wanted to know the next story, and it
Right.
wasn't really written for me or my age, but there's something captivating about it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think they're the longest running. Now, is it a serial or are they separate stories? I think it's a serial,
It was
right?
ongoing all the time, so
Yeah.
it's same as Odyssey. There was always continuation from the previous
Yeah,
episode moving
yeah,
forwards,
right. So they're the longest running, I think. Yeah.
which is respectable. Right, Katie, thank you. Do you want to give us your website if people want the book or to contact you in
Oh,
some way? What's your
sure.
website?
Yeah. KatieLeigh.com, KatieLeigh, KatieLeigh.com. And they go to my website, they can get my newsletter, they can find a link to the Tell You Later show.
Awesome.
Yeah, and write to me if they have questions. Yeah, that's that. And I'll have to look for your book, Andy. I don't even know what your last name is. What is it?
Andy Berry.
Barry.
Yes, Berry.
B,
Like the
B
fruit.
Okay. There's another guy in England who called me once for an interview, and his Dave Barry, he has a morning show in London, I guess. And he said they'd always been looking to find out found out I was the voice of the Maharaja, and he was a big Temple of Doom fan, and he called me from England and we had an interview. Dave Barry had a morning show. And now I think he has a podcast, but no relation. I think he's
No.
Barry. Yeah.
Yeah, different one. No, it's fine. Think strawberry and cut off the straw. You got my surname. Katie, thank you. It's been a pleasure. I love finding out about people's story of faith. I love finding out about what they do. And it's been a real thrill for me to just get your passion out on audio and video as well for what you
Well,
do.
your joy is contagious. I'll tell you what, if you guys aren't watching the YouTube channel and just listening, he's really smiling and really charming and really just looks like a very huggable guy.
Thank you. My children and wife agree. Right. So you've got the website if you go and check that out later. This will be going out on my Get You Home show, but then obviously YouTube podcast channel later, you can connect with it again, or you can meet Katie in person, so to speak, on the visual. Katie, thank you. It's been a pleasure and a delight to meet you today.
Thank you so much for having me. God bless you.